for me to only have monitored visitation. So I'm trying to figure out what needs to be done and why I'm receiving such harsh treatment. I'm even getting verbal abuse from the supervisor, not having my CSW having communication with me at this point. So it's becoming, and I want you to know also, I am now in the field DV. I am part of several associations and divisions, and I'm now, dedicated to the world of prevention. So I think this is about retaliation now, and they're trying to alienate me in my career because I have a presence.
So let's go to Rosa from California. Rosa, did you have a question to ask or a story to tell?
That's me. Last time I called, I think Connie Rizzulli was there, so I'm updating you on the status of my case. Took a nasty turn. Last time I called you, my son was supposed to be questioned by law enforcement because I had just found out that his father had installed some cyber monitoring software, some high-level enterprise software, violating a permanent DVRO that I was protected under. So he had been having capabilities to, monitor me in my home, in my residence, my coming and going. So I've been reporting multiple violations of an order for about 3 months prior. And so this case opened for domestic violence. And I worked very hard for about 6 months for my case plan to get 50-50 split. And the case was always unusual because the father always had liberties, and they were always aware that the father had blackmailed me and leveraged a lot of false allegations to open the case after I was assaulted. And they were made aware of the case, and that's how it opened. And so now it's taken a very nasty turn where now they've withheld my son and kept him with the father for over 3 months. And have provided a lot of false accusations, and now I have a whole file that I've built where I caught them in many lies, and now they're using a lot of false excuses about my prescription medications, and they came up with a lot of things where my doctors have now provided testimony saying that they haven't made the calls that they've claimed to make. I caught them with paperwork, and my court appointee attorney is throwing his arms up. He's basically trying to get me to fire him, I can tell. So my question now, I guess, for you is I'm left now with my child's attorney filing an order for me to only have monitored visitation. So I'm trying to figure out what needs to be done and why I'm receiving such harsh treatment. I'm even getting verbal abuse from the supervisor, not having my CSW having communication with me at this point. So it's becoming, and I want you to know also, I am now in the field DV. I am part of several associations and divisions, and I'm now, dedicated to the world of prevention. So I think this is about retaliation now, and they're trying to alienate me in my career because I have a presence.
Is your child?
So what do you?
Is your child with the father right now?
Correct, and they're not facilitating any calls. They're not providing any services. So my lawyer's just like, well, sue and go to the media, and that's where I'm at.
Of course, I don't know all the details, but that's pretty harsh advice for you to sue and go.
Yeah, and he gave me a list. He gave me a list of where my rights have been violated. And, he told me to use I've worked in entertainment for a while, and I have some contacts, and he gave me, he told me to use them. That's where I'm at. So, I'm kind of flabbergasted. Oh, I also have a court order where it tells me to not call the police to my ex-husband's or the father's residence because, guess this, Mr. Davis, I received a 9-second call to my phone from my son's phone where there was no speaking from my son, but all I heard was my son's father yelling profanities I could hear objects being thrown around, telling him to get the F out of the house, and telling him to move the F out. And so my son hangs up, and because I've heard this before, and obviously I have a little bit of PTSD from the abuse, I immediately call for emergency response. I tell them there's history of violence. I explain the situation, and I call DCFS right away and inform them of the situation. And the law enforcement leaves because of course, the boy, just like any other victim, they say that they feel safe. And law enforcement also makes the mistake of telling the father that the reason for the response is because I overheard a dispute over the child's phone. So that was outrageous. So the court felt the need to put in the court orders for me to not call the police to the residence in order for it to comply. And so that was very interesting that all my domestic violence associations are outraged about right now. So we are going to the top. So I wanted to get your opinion on that also, because wouldn't that be a violation of the Violence Against Women's Act, all sorts of civil violations, no? For a judge to put that in writing? I have this in writing, Mr. Davis.
You know, it's one of those cases where a lot of different competing laws converge. And, you know, I always tell people juvenile dependency court was not set up to handle all the different problems that happen or the things that go wrong within a family dynamic. In your particular case, did you guys appeal that order or take a writ on that order? You know, a judge making an order like that basically limits your freedom of speech and you taking advantage of laws in California, there might be a problem with that. I have seen it done. I have heard of it done before, but that doesn't make it necessarily right. You know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. How old is your son?
He is 11 years old.
It would seem to me at that age that he could be interviewed or testify as to what's going on in his dad's home if he's being threatened or abused, right?
Right.
So
2 minutes.
I think that that's one of the things that you should speak to your attorney about. You know, maybe you need to, and your attorney you need to talk about whether you need to file a 388 to change orders, you know, to modify orders. You know, your case is one of those cases, and I've seen this happen before, where, you know, the juvenile system just wants to ignore you, sweep you under the rug, because they're really not able to handle those types of cases. They weren't meant to handle those types of cases, and now that they've taken jurisdiction or get involved in these types of cases, they're not really able to do it. They don't have necessarily the funds, the expertise, the experience to handle something, a case like yours. But talk to your attorney about filing some type of 388 petition to try to change or modify the orders. And, you know, talk to your attorney about trying to take a writ or an appeal on the judge's order that prohibits you from doing something. You know, that's a serious order to stop you from exercising your freedom of speech and implementing or taking advantage of laws, especially domestic violence laws that may help you. Somebody needs to talk to your child, interview your child, or you and your attorney need to put your child on the stand so that your child can tell the judge exactly what's going on. Hey, Rosa, I want to thank you for calling and thank you for listening. Please call us, you know, maybe in 3 or 4 weeks and give us an update on what's going on. I'd like to hear if things changed for you. All right? Rosa? Okay. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and I'm with Aaron Carranza this evening as my co-host. This is The Secret, How to Find Child Protective Services and Win. We'll be back